Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, we're taking a look at the continuous depreciation of the Naira. In the past 6 months, we've seen the Naira move from 600 to 700 and now over 1,000 Naira. And it continues to skyrocket if we do not address this. I mean, this is not a new conversation, and so the question remains the same. Why does the Naira keep falling? Let me bring on my guest for tonight, a financial and economic expert, Tunde Olatunji, for some insights into this development. Mr. Olatunji, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening. It's a pleasure.
Right. So as a financial and economic expert, help us answer this question. Why does the Naira keep falling?
Well, let me start by saying that these are obviously not the best of times for the economy of this country. Because of the crippling effect of inflation coupled with the rise and falling of our Naira. And it has been more of falling of Naira, which is depreciation. And the major cause of the fall in Naira has to do with the scarcity of the foreign exchange itself. There are a number of factors that are responsible for the rise and fall of the currency of every nation. You have to look at the productive capacity of that country, the economic health of that same nation, as well as the ability of a country to produce goods and services that can be exported to foreign earnings. And if you look at these identified areas of forex exchange, which constitute the dynamics that determines the value of the currency of any nation. You see that our country is struggling so hard to level up in this area. So it's basically a problem of scarcity. It has to do with the supply end. Nigeria is not generating, or let me say Nigeria is not earning enough foreign exchange to meet its local demand as well as other demands for dollar. And being an import-dependent economy, you can see why Naira has been falling, and there really need to do a lot of work, both at the monetary policy level as well as fiscal policy, to address and arrest this depreciating situation.
Right, so this conversation about the productivity level of Nigeria is also not new. And also, many financial experts like yourself have said, what we're dealing with at the moment is not much of a demand ailment, but a supply disease.
Well, the fact that there are other factors does not take away the fact that when there are structural issues about the economy, they must be fixed if you want to get it right. Then we have to move from there to begin to look at the impact of arbitrage, round tripping, hoarding of foreign exchange. And let me give a very just simple analogy. As it is today, if you look at the reports on inflation rate, it's over to 28% going by the NBC's report. And if you look at the interest rate, for instance, on investment, let's take the Treasury bill that was traded, in early days of this year, in January 10. And I think a one-year deal on Treasury bill is just a little over 12%. What that simply means is that even the inflation figure is higher than the interest earnings. And so if you go by that, it simply means that the incentive to invest, to bring in more funds, to bring in, attract foreign investments into this sector is not really going to be there, because technically it's going to have a net value on investment. So it makes quite a number of Nigerians want to dollarize their investment. So there is both the organic and inorganic, as well, let me say, the healthy and unhealthy reasons for which this is done. This is also coupled with the fact that you can't rule out the impact of a non-patriotic approach towards what has to do with our nations, and these are at all levels. So we must know that while the monetary policies are very important, are necessary, they will not alone solve this problem. There are foundational issues that we must address. As a nation, we must get productive. Today, if you look at where we had the source of our foreign exchange, which is the oil itself, we're not even maximizing it. And as long as we even continue to spend on importation of items like particularly items that we have local capacity to develop, which of course is not something, I mean, it's not something that's encouraged to anybody. It's not something we are proud of as a nation. And what do I mean? We continue to import oil products into this country, which takes a large share of our foreign exchange earnings. You continue to import items like wheat, and these are and a number of other items which ranks high. Fishery on the items that takes a large chunk of our foreign exchange. Until we begin to look inwards to stem some of these stem the demand of some of these items by ensuring that we develop our local capacity to produce them. All other approaches might appear a bit cosmetic, but again, there's also the need for the authorities, particularly the central bank, to work seriously. I know they are trying hard, but like we say, it's not about nobody celebrates effort until there is results. So I know they're trying the best they could do, but Nigerians want more because we want to see an economy that works for all of us. But then we also need to look at issues from the fiscal end as well. We need to take some really strict and decisive measures to ensure that the bleeding of the foreign exchange in the Nigerian economy stops.
I hear you, but then, I mean, many Nigerians believe that the hunger for the dollar is unreal, as it is not founded on any economic policy. They say politicians who loot the nation's treasury are partly the cause of this, as they loot a higher currency to reduce the bulk. What's your take on this?
Well, when we're discussing the issue of foreign, and that's why I identified that, there are various reasons for which people are trying to dollarize for instance, investment. Some even are buying just to round tripping, arbitrage. And that's why I said non-patriotic approaches and attitude that is affecting our economy adversely. And everybody's guilty. And we cannot continue to talk about our problems and not being ready to take serious measures. We must be ready to we must be necessary to address issues the way they are. So it doesn't matter where anybody belongs, but the reason why the issue of those leadership will continue to be at the front burner is that leadership is about inspiration. You must lead by example. So at all levels, we must ensure that we address this bleeding. It is not helpful. Take for instance, even for those who think that they are having, they are stockpiling money in foreign exchange for unscrupulous reasons, for reasons that are not economic. There's really no basis. I've always argued, for instance, that over time, even the rate of our currency has been more artificial than what can actually be explained in the economic balance. Because it's only in Nigeria we have seen a situation that overnight you could see a rise and fall of as much as 10-15% when there's really nothing significant that has happened economically. And it appears like it's something that defies all economic principles. But it is not. It is because people are keeping dollars for wrong reasons. People are engaging in round tripping, there's arbitrage. So all of this put together a non-patriotic attitude and approach to our economy that is bringing us to these knees. And as it is today, the ripple effects, cut across. I mean, it's really, an assiduous task for a nation that is battling with, you have high inflation, removal of subsidy, and at the same time, efforts to ensure that we have, a reasonable value for our currency, or also being, rendered ineffective for all manners of reasons that are nefarious. I think there's really need for more decisive steps on the part of government, particularly in the areas of addressing those who continues to engage in non-economic reasons that is affecting our foreign exchange. There isn't for us to do more. There isn't for us to do more in that area. We must really take, serious measures. We have more foreign exchange outside, the banking system that we have within the banking system. And of course, this would be one of the reasons why the black market will continue to dominate whatever effort that is being done in the official window.
Right. So before we get to how you think the government should address the fundamentals, in a related development, Nigeria's headline inflation is soaring for the 12th consecutive time to 28.92% in December. Are the same factors responsible for this?
Oh, of course, because we run an import-dependent economy. And so whatever affects the cost of your raw materials that you bring into the country to produce anything is going to get higher. And don't also forget that removal of subsidy, which of course has also added to it. But the question is it sustainable if subsidy continues the way it has been in the past? The answer is no. Again, is that how has it been today? It has really made life unbearable for people. And so, again, is that decisions must be, and that is why if you're taking measures that has ripple effect on both the rich and the poor, the leaders and the led, we must also take much more decisive steps in areas where we know the constitute large chunk of it. The commoners on the streets, there's little to the effect that they contribute. I've had cause to argue with, just like when CBN in the past, decided to make some 42 items not valid for Forex. And my question is, yes, was that the right thing? I'm happy that the new government had come in and reviewed it. I was on here. I was against that. I mean, I really see no sense in it. But let me give you a simple analogy. The impact of buying handkerchief on foreign exchange is nothing compared to those who have capacity to trade for arbitrage in millions of dollars overnight. And that is why when measures are being taken, we must take measures that will spare no sector or no categories of citizens in the country. That's what I mean by hard measures must be taken. We cannot address the current problem with kick gloves because there are more to the reasons behind the depreciation of dollars than just what the economics can explain. There are, of course, unpatriotic and non-economic reasons that are fueling and making this to bleed. And of course, I don't think we can also rule out the possibility of people who had amassed so much wealth that they have capacity to actually distort the foreign exchange market of a nation as big as Nigeria, and that's unfortunate.
That's very interesting because according to World Bank and other estimates, the Naira lost about 40% of its value in 2023. Do you see a repeat of that this year? And what should be Nigeria's rescue plan to boost the local currency?
While nobody would want to sound like a prophet of doom, the fact remains that without tackling these problems headlong, there is no immediate respite in place. Because, you see, we have the issue of supply, and that is there, we can't rule it out. And until some of the measures that the federal government is trying to put in place begins to crystallize and materialize, can we see a ramp up in the Nigerians' production capacity? Can we see Nigeria earning more in terms of? Can we see Nigeria meeting its proposal to have about 2.3 million barrels per day? Can we achieve that? Can we now see more of funds coming from this end? Can we look at the non-oil sectors? Can we make it easier for people to engage in legitimate export businesses by removing some of the cumbersome policies that surround our exportation business, by ensuring that the ease of business improves, by encouraging Nigerians and supporting them to go into productions and ensure that we add value to whatever we produce so that we can earn more and make them products and services that can be traded in the international market and make them acceptable. As it is today in this country, some people take some agri products from Nigeria to Ghana and so to export because they feel it's easier to export. These are the issues we need to look into, the bottlenecks. And we must now see how do we earn more. But if we earn more without addressing the leakages, if we earn more and then we spare those who have specialized in ensuring that they profit from the chaotic, financial mess that Nigeria is, then of course we'll be solving the problem on one end, and then we'll be leaving out a substantial problem that will make a mess of all of that solution and attempt. So we must make sure that we are decisive. There must be consistency in policy of government to address it. There must be an handshake between our monetary policies and fiscal policies to ensure that we have an economy that meets our aspiration in terms of looking at it. We must also begin to look at, are there things that we're spending money on bringing to this country that ordinarily we should not be bringing to this country? I've had cause to say this, for instance. I don't see any economic sense in going to supermarkets and I see imported honey on our shelves. With how well we are blessed in this country, with honeys that we can produce locally and even make them exportable, and then we still allow some of this. You still see imported bottled waters in our supermarket. A report recently said there's a particular bakery in France that brings bread into Nigeria maybe thrice a week or twice a week. We cannot build a serious economy this way. These are some of the hard measures that we must take. We cannot continue to specialize in, we consume what we don't produce, we produce what we don't consume, but we want our economy to be able to know. We must ensure that we weed out all sources of unhealthy demand for foreign exchange in this country, and we must ensure that we plug all leakages and address all of those areas where the distortion is coming from. Then we can now begin to look at the way forward.
Right. So talking about generating revenue from the non-oil sector, the Accountant General of the Federation, Madain, says for the year 2023, the non-oil sector did pretty well, but we can do better. But talking about leakages, how do you advise government to address this?
Well, if you look at Nigeria's latent capacity in terms of the economy, we are improving, but we are still far from what we can do in the non-oil sector. And that's why I'm happy that we are beginning to see that the problem that happened to the oil sector is an opportunity for us to develop other sectors for a long time. Some of the areas that we need to look at, can we look at the top items that is responsible for the demand of foreign exchange in this country? And I know, and because of this I've mentioned it, oil and gas is number one. We have products like wheat, we have products like sugar, we have products like the fishery products. And the question is, are these products that we have local capacity to produce? Yes. Are these products that Nigeria has capacity not only to meet its needs, but also become a net exporter of this product? And the question is yes. You look at what government is trying to do with the local refineries. It's commendable, and we pray that it's sustained and it can be done. And it's also a good thing that we have local investors also coming up with. It's not as if this will suddenly bring down the cost of petroleum. But if within a short while we can successfully take out the demand for oil and gas importation from the Nigeria, foreign exchange import window, that would constitute a relief that will be substantial. Can we move from there and then see how we can be self-sustaining or nearly become self-sustaining in wheat production? Quite a number of states in the north have capacity to give wheat to this country, which is the basic raw material for your bakery products, your spaghettis, your bread, and all of that. Can we see what we can do with that? It's a good thing that Nigeria now has a marine and blue economy. Can we also now begin to maximize the potential of that economy? and see how we can. I mean, Nigeria has no business bringing in fish products into this country. At a time not quite long, Norway brings in about $125 million worth of the one they call okuroko. That is the head of what do you call that fish? That is for our south in southeastern Nigeria is a major delicacy there. I mean, this sounds so funny. With abundance of water resources that we have in this country, about 28 of these countries are bordered by inland waterways. So why would Nigeria be importing fish products? And then we move into those. Then, this alone, bringing down this, addressing this, developing local capacity for this, will bring down the demand. Those are the legitimate sources of demand on our forex. Then we now have to move into areas of saboteurs, economic saboteurs. We cannot continue to ask Nigerians to buckle up and then we begin to live as saboteurs. No. We must ensure that anybody who is not willing to add value to the Nigerian economy, anybody who does not see the health of the health of the economic and the financial health of this nation as a serious business, should be treated as who they are. They mean no well for the economy, and we must address it. I mean, there is need to have sanity in the BDC sector. So it's going to be a perfect mix of diverse issues, and that's why I said monetary policies alone cannot address this issue. There must be fiscal measures. There must even be trade measures that you need to take to protect your economy. So that, we must also begin to be mindful of, some of opening up as our economy, for instance, at its advantage. But if we fail as a country to take advantage of it, it will become an albatross to our economy.
All right.
Today, with the free trade zone agreement, the free trade agreement that we have in ECOWAS and by extension the other part of Africa, if Nigeria fails to maximize it and export things to other countries, everybody brings in their product there. You go to a supermarket, you see creams from Cote d'Ivoire, you see items from Ghana, from Egypt. The questions are, what are we taking back to those countries? So we must ensure that we maximize the potential that we have in this economy. And it's so huge and massive. What trade can do for this country is massive. What manufacturing can do for this country is massive. What agriculture can do for this country is massive. So we must begin to identify these key areas where the potentials are and unlocking, and with that we will begin to see respite in the depreciation of our economy, and we'll see a improvement in the values and figures.
Fantastic. Mr. Olatunji, let's take a break at this point. Tonight, our focus is the depreciation of the Naira against the dollar, why the Naira keeps falling, and what the country must do to reverse this trend. We'll take a break now, and I will be right back.